Alright, Ben Franklin is not forgotten. I mean, the guy's literally a founding father, but more importantly, we come across him every time we're about to have a small meal at Five Guys. Seriously, it cost me $18 for a small burger, small fries, and a drink. That's sit-down restaurant money. But despite how he's known, we don't really think of him as a philosopher, do we? I mean, maybe he could qualify as a political philosopher since he was so big during the founding of America and the political ideals we would adopt. But who cares? What a snooze fest talking about Ben Franklin's political philosophy. I mean, what are you gonna do with it, huh? How are you gonna implement his political philosophy into your life? You're gonna have a sequel to the Boston Tea Party? Now, what if there is something we could use? Thankfully, in his autobiography, Benny Frank talks about the virtues he upheld in his life, espousing somewhat of a moral philosophy. And he's living, well, scratch that. He was living proof that following these virtues could lead you to live a very fulfilling life. Usually in our Forgotten Philosopher series, we give a quick biography, but I mean, it's Ben Franklin. Not only is he well known, but there are so many better resources out there to learn about his wild life. With that said, let's take a look at Ben Franklin's moral philosophy. In his autobiography, he says he's after something called moral perfection. I wish to live without committing any fault at any time. I would conquer all that either natural inclination, custom, or company might lead me into. Now you might read this and think, yeah, good luck with that. We're humans, we make mistakes, and we're bound to slip up. And you know what? You're right. Franklin soon found out that despite his strong conviction, he kept making mistakes. So instead of trying to become a perfect human, he really specified the moral virtues he wished to uphold, and did his best to make a habit out of these virtues. Sounds very Aristotelian. Now there are 13 specific virtues he lists, as well as little elaborations for each. We're going to do a lightning round for each of these virtues and its precepts, starting now. Temperance. Eat not to dullness, drink not to elevation. Silence. Speak not but what may benefit others or yourself. Avoid trifling conversation. Order. Let all your things have their places. Let each part of your business have its time. Resolution. Resolve to perform what you ought. Perform without fail what you resolve. Frugality. Make no expense but to do good to others or yourself, i.e., waste nothing. Industry. Lose no time. Be always employed in something useful. Cut off all unnecessary action. Sincerity. Use no hurtful deceit. Think innocently and justly. And, if you speak accordingly. Justice. Wrong none by doing injuries, or omitting the benefits that are your duty. Moderation. Avoid extremes. Forbear resenting injuries so much as you think they deserve. Cleanliness. Tolerate no uncleanliness in body, clothes, or habitation. Tranquility. Be not disturbed at trifles, or at accidents common or unavoidable. Chastity. Rarely use venery, but for health or offspring. Never to dullness, weakness, or the injury of your own or another's peace or reputation. And finally, humility. Imitate Jesus and Socrates. Now, I purposely sped through these virtues because you could find value in them, but what I think is more interesting is how he lived them. Instead of looking at this big list and just saying, yep, I'm gonna make a habit out of them, Ben Franklin had a system. Take a look at this chart. This represents a page in Ben's notebook that he'd carry around. As you can see at the very top, a virtue is listed, the one here being temperance, along with the elaboration under it. Then we have a grid with letters at the top representing days of the week, and letters on the left representing the first letter of each of the virtues. Whenever Ben slipped up and violated one of these virtues, he would make a dot. So if he screwed up moderation on a Thursday, he would make a dot in the appropriate box. At the end of the week, he'd review his chart and see what needs working on and how he can improve. Now you might be wondering, why is a specific virtue listed at the top? Well, instead of trying to focus on 13 different virtues all at once, Franklin would try and focus on just one virtue per week, starting with temperance, then going down the line. He said he specifically ordered his virtues so that the earlier ones would complement the others. Getting good in temperance, for example, would be beneficial for all the other virtues. So here's what I want you to do now. I want you to think of certain virtues or habits that you'd like to adopt in your life. Then, get a little notebook from the dollar store or something and test this method out for yourself and your own virtues. And maybe these don't even have to be moral virtues, but even just habits. Let's say you want to work out, drink enough water, get at least 8 hours of sleep, that sort of thing. Why not make a similar chart so you could track your progress in developing these habits? To me, it's not so much the virtues themselves that are interesting, but rather Franklin's methodology in actually adapting them. Because you could very well use his same method with Aristotelian virtues or Stoic virtues, and that sounds pretty practical and applicable to me. Anyways, that's going to do it for Ben Franklin. I hope you guys try out his method and see if it works for you. Comment below any other forgotten philosophers, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to help out the channel by subscribing, liking, and hitting the bell. And with that, I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day.